Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to our weekly webinar. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and we're starting our webinar mapping out a week ahead. A special welcome to new people. And in simple words, what we do here is actually create structure, create a plan for the upcoming week. And I like to quote traders that like to say, you plan, you trade, and then you trade, you plan. This way, your trading will be more organized and possibly more productive and less impulsive and less chaotic, that's for sure. A few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. And I started my trading career in June of 2000. It's almost 24 years. I went like probably 24 weeks really quick. When you're having fun, time goes by very fast. So I've done about 11 years of prop trading. That's how I started on Wall Street, and after that, I moved into a different way of trading. Also started to mentor and educate other traders. And currently, I'm very happy that I have a great opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda usually is the same. We speak about indices, stocks, commodities, forex. We talk a little bit about fundamentals. We discuss the upcoming events from economic calendar and try to make sense of things that are coming up. Also try to analyze the week just passed, try to see what happened and what are the indications for the next week. Risk warning, you can find a full statement at avatrade.com website. What we do here is purely educational. We do not suggest any trades, of course. Social media channels, you have Telegram, you have Twitter, which is X now, and a YouTube channel, which is my favorite. Please subscribe. If you are watching this on YouTube, please write your comments. It's very important. We try to improve things all the time, so our feedback is very important. YouTube is my favorite. You can find a lot of educational material, tutorials there. You can watch the webinars that you missed or you're about to miss. So subscribe, click on that bell so you'll be notified on new things. And of course, if you feel that could be beneficial to people that you know, feel free to share. And I think that's a good idea. Okay, so the past week, it was all about the Feds. Or what are they about to do? We had PPI numbers first, and market initially reacted negatively as the PPI numbers were higher than expected, and then it was recovery and we went higher, and then the CPI numbers came lower than expected. It's a good sign for the Feds, and it looks like they're on the way to reach their target, but we're still far away from the 2% target. So as of now, most of the analysts are kind of pricing in another half of percentage cut till the end of the year, and of course they're expecting more interest rate reductions in 2025 and 2026. So that's where we stand now. Dow Jones made the historical 40,000. I did a little bit of a research just for fun. So it took from 30,000 to 40,000. We talk about the index, not the futures. It took 874 trading days, and the biggest contributors to the number is Goldman Sachs and Microsoft out of 30 stocks that are part of Dow Jones. And you could see here the numbers. The Goldman is leading, Microsoft, United Healthcare, Caterpillar, and others. And the ones that took the points away, starting with Honeywell, Intel didn't have a great year or great past months, and so on. So this is the picture for Dow Jones. We did break the 40,000. Also this week we had highs on most of the indices. That includes S&P's 500, NASDAQ. Also, European DAX was very strong. UK FTSE as well. We'll take a look at them really quick. Also, we'll talk about commodities. We've been talking about them for quite a few weeks now. as dollar got weaker and the inflation is slowing down. Gold had a nice run. We still didn't break the all-time highs. Silver is at 11 years high, very strong, and copper is super strong. As we mentioned last week, demand is growing for copper. It looks like supply is a little bit lagging there. So the price of copper is moving strongly to the upside. We'll take a look at them when we look at the charts. Economic calendar. For new people, just explain in few words, this is public information is being released, and we know about the time and the day ahead of time, so we can be prepared, which is very important. It's a separate question whether you'll be using these numbers for your trading or not, but I think if you're an active trader, it's good to know ahead of time of certain things coming out, so you can prepare yourself. You can either stay away from trades or enter the trades or adjust your trades, whatever you need to do. Here, I take high impact events only. There's much more. You can filter through them. You can find economic calendar at our web trader or the mobile app. Also, a lot of third-party providers. It's again, like I said, it's a public information. Everybody's reporting from the same source. So these are the things that are coming up this week. Some are more important, some are less, but these are the most important for the week. Again, they're marked in red, the high impact events. So let's just go through them really quick. Tuesday, we start with the Bank of Australia meeting minutes. They'll be commenting on their past decision on interest rate, and there was no change, as you remember. We have CPI numbers from Canada, and we have Governor of Bank of England speaking. That's on Tuesday. Wednesday, important day for New Zealand dollar. There's interest rate decision and the policy statement and press conference from New Zealand. We have CPI numbers from UK, and then monetary policy report hearing. That's also on their last decision. They also didn't change interest rate at the last meeting. And we have FOMC minutes also from the Fed's last meeting. We'll be hearing more details about the Fed's plans and reactions and how they feel about the inflation and the upcoming interest rate changes. Retail sales from New Zealand as well on Wednesday. Thursday, we have PMI numbers from Germany. We have then PMI numbers from European Union, and we have PMI numbers from UK, and that followed by PMI numbers from US as well. And then we have the governor of Bank of New Zealand speaking on Thursday as well. Retail sales from UK on Friday, and the chairman from Swiss National Bank speech on Friday as well. So from all these events, of course, the interest rate decision from New Zealand we'll be watching. Of course, that will be affecting the local currency. We have inflation numbers and some speeches from the governors of the banks. And of course, the main focus is on the FOMC minutes. And all the traders and analysts will be looking for new signs of actions or future actions from the Feds. So this is the economic calendar. Let's move now to the trading terminal, and we'll start going through the specific instruments. So as we said, the indices were very strong, especially after that report on the slowing inflation. Let's start with China just to see what China is doing. China is doing a lot of efforts to bring the economy to a better place. And it looks like they are continuing to succeed. You remember we mentioned this 12,500 that we broke through it at the end of April. Then we had the retest in the past few days, and we broke the previous high. So we are on the way to some recovery there with China. Of course, that helps already strong copper. As you know, if this is not your first time with our webinar, When I speak about China, I speak about four instruments. That's copper, crude oil, and two currencies, which is Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, as those two countries or those two currencies are called commodity currencies, as Australia and New Zealand. Both of them are exporting a lot of goods to China. So let's just take a quick look at them. They had also a nice move to the upside, Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar as well. Of course, that not just because of China, because also the weakness of US dollar. So that's China. It's on the way to some recovery. Again, we're facing another important point here at the current prices. You could see here, after the sell-off, we tried to move higher on September 1st of last year, and then we continue selling from that point. So each time we're going higher, we're facing a new resistance. Let's see how we manage this. So far, we are above all three moving averages. We have something that we mentioned, the golden cross, 150-day moving average crossed above the 200. That happened towards the end of April, and we are holding that uptrend so far. Japan is having a hard time going higher. We did have a tremendous move on Japanese index, and after making the highs and failing to go higher, we've been sliding a little bit, and now we're kind of stuck at this level, at the current level around 38,700. Let's see what happens there. Of course, it has a lot to do with decisions of Bank of Japan and the strength or weakness of Japanese yen. We'll get there when we speak about the forex. Okay, so back to the main players. As we mentioned, we broke through 40. Of course, the futures are above, way above 40,000. We spoke about the cash index. It did close at $40,003. And here, the futures made the high prior to that. So it shows a little bit different picture. But as you could see here, the reaction was positive. Then Thursday, we were in red, and Friday, we moved higher again. As we mentioned, what contributes a lot to the Dow is Microsoft and Goldman Sachs. Those are the two main leaders. We'll take a look at them when we get to the stocks. S&Ps, we made brand new high. Thursday, a little bit of sell-off. Friday, green, but we are below Thursday. So the big question is, there's a lot of excitement. Some analysts are saying we are moving higher from here. There's a lot of fundamentals that are supporting this strong bull market. Others say to be cautious. And of course, there's always at least two opposite opinions. So we'll see how things are working out. NASDAQ, we had a huge move up on that CPI number. And then Thursday was a little red, and Friday we also finished in red. And this week we have NVIDIA reporting, which is, I would say, a key component that affects NASDAQ. It's all about AI, and NVIDIA is the big player in that sector. So we'll take a look at NVIDIA when we talk about stocks. So as you could see here, we just made highs at all the US indices. The question is, what's next? As I said, a lot of positive opinion and positive projections for the indices. At the same time, some are skeptical as well. So we'll see what's next. German DAX, after making the previous week all-time high, this past week we closed in red. And this is daily chart. So far, let's be looking at the weekly chart. The week of May 5th, we went as high as 18,965. This previous week, we had a spike above it, but closed lower. So let's see what's next for DAX. FTSE is continuing to be strong. We are at the all-time highs. and we did have a green week, even though we closed below the highs of the previous week. So also, after making this level here, we've been sitting here, as you could see, spikes up and down, and on daily chart, we pretty much closed flat 2 days in a row, and then a little bit in red on Friday. So this week is crucial. I guess we'll see. Will we continue going higher, or will we have some correction and profit taking? It's going to be an interesting week for sure. Okay, so that's as far as indices. Let's move to individual stocks, and I'm going to start with NVIDIA. Take a look. This is Wednesday, right? Then Thursday, correction, and Friday, a sell-off. And we are sitting right on this level, 921.79. If you look on the chart here, before the recent sell-off or correction, we did hit on April 1st. We started April with the sell-off. If you remember, March was strong. April was weak for the equities. So the high here was 921.79. And then on May 6th, we retested that level again. We went higher by 7 cents. And then we were sitting below. So it looked like at this point, we saw this current level, exactly 921.79, was a resistance. And then Wednesday, that CPI data moved the stock higher, which is open with the gap. The numbers come 1 hour before the US market opens. So of course, pre-market was already moving up. So we gapped in the regular session. We moved higher all the way to 948.41. Thursday, we tried to go higher but closed lower, and Friday was a sell-off in NVIDIA, coming back to the same point. The big question is, are we establishing a support before moving higher, or we're going to dive below and build another resistance and go repeating the correction to the downside? And of course, the general market condition will affect it. And of course, on the 22nd, on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, NVIDIA is reporting earnings. So that's going to be very, very important. Okay. Now, let's take a look at Microsoft and Goldman, as those are the leaders of Dow Jones. And take a look what happened here. And Microsoft, we did have that reaction to the upside on Wednesday with the CPI numbers. We didn't hit the previous highs. Thursday, the same thing, spikes higher and close lower. And then Friday, also a red day. And Goldman is showing the strength, as I showed to you, I think, this past webinar that we had. The banks are super strong. They are hoping for that interest rate cut, and they're pricing it in. And both Goldman and JP Morgan and other banks are showing strength. So Goldman, it looks like it's super strong here. We are at the all-time highs, and unlike other stocks, it didn't have a red day, and Friday actually moved higher, as most of the equities moved lower that day. The same thing for JP Morgan and other banks. Take a look at JP Morgan, tremendous strength. Citigroup moving higher besides Friday. Bank of America continues higher. So you could see here that the banks are super, super strong, and we'll continue watching them, of course. Now, last week we spoke about this. We spoke about Disney and Teva. If you remember, I mentioned to you that CEO of Morgan Stanley, he bought 2.1 million worth of shares of Disney after the sell-off of the stock due to the disappointing earnings. And he bought it, I think, average price around 106. I'm not sure exactly. And in this past week, Disney continues sliding. We close at 103.11 on Disney. Teva Pharmaceutical. You remember I mentioned last week they got good data on the new schizophrenia drug that they're working on. And the stock did great this past week until the last 3 days. We had a little correction here, and we closed at 1628 after hitting the high of 1709. Now, a few weeks back, we spoke about it that some analysts are setting up target for Teva at around $19. And take a look at the monthly chart. We spoke about Teva a lot. Again, for new people, I just want to review what we actually worked on. We said that Teva had this zigzagging between $7 and $11. So every time it came close to 7, there was a potential buy, taking it higher. And then we did it in stages. We broke through 11, then we broke through 13, 14. And then with the news about it, a drug, I think it's the third phase before the FDA approval, some good data. We had a nice move to the upside. This is the weekly move, as you could see. In 1 week, the week of May 5th, we moved from 1379 to 1655. It's a strong move. And a normal correction for 2 days, and Friday, green day for Teva. We'll definitely will continue watching Teva and see what's happening. Now, Tesla is worth paying attention. Friday, when the equities went down, pretty much Tesla moved higher here. The stock, is, of course, is in a lot of trouble. It's still sitting here in this range after a lot of issues, low numbers, and so on. But then we moved higher since the last earnings were followed by a lot of positive promises. So the stock moved higher, but then we came back again. So these levels here around 179, 180, a lot of actions here. And we'll be watching Tesla for a possible continuation. We are above 50-day moving average here. We did close the gap here, but didn't go lower. So it could be a potential positive sign for Tesla. And again, it's important to see the relevant strength on the weak market, which was on Friday. Tesla was strong, and also on Thursday on the sell-off in the market, Tesla was in green. The only thing on the opposite story, on Wednesday when the market was flying, Tesla sold. So that's kind of makes that thing neutral, right? On the strong market, it went lower. On the weak market, it went higher. So at these levels, we're going to watch what's next. This recent sell-off with the low of 167.58, that could be our immediate support, potentially. And the gap that we just recently had, the high was here 198.65, and that's close to 200. Tesla's been playing with that 200 number many, many times. So we'll be watching what's next with that, with Tesla. Let's run through the big players really quick. Meta, Facebook, had a move to the upside on Wednesday CPI data. It did close the gap, as you could see here. This gap happened because of their not such great earnings, and it was all about the virtual reality thing that ate a lot of cash and didn't produce a lot of profits. So that was a move up. It looks like this 482 level, it's a resistance, and then we're sitting there. Netflix, also we're fighting this level around 619, 620. As you could see here, we did close the gap. This gap, just to remind us, the earnings were not bad, but what they said, starting from next year, they will not be reporting the amount of subscribers. So the Wall Street didn't like it. And slowly we recovered, not so slowly. After sitting here and confirming support, we had a nice recovery here, and we're back at 619, 620. Let's see how we act here. A lot of positive things about Netflix. They said since they start cracking on that multiple password thing and more subscribers came in, the stock looks pretty good. Apple had a nice recovery here. as you could see, this gap happened when they reported the earnings. The losses were less than expected, so there's some positive things. Also, they start getting more involved in AI. So few positive things move the stock higher. After a small correction, we continue to the upside. And the recent high is around 190, 191. Let's see what Apple's done. We'll do next. Intel is trying to recover, but it's super weak. And speaking on the weekly chart, this is the first upside week after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to the downside. So let's see, we could be seeing some kind of recovery. There was a gap. If market conditions are positive and we get some positive fundamentals, I don't know if that's possible at this point. Again, just to remind us, all this move down was triggered by the CEO trying to explain the weak earnings. Said they have a lot of investments and it takes time for those factories and plants to become profitable. He gives some ideas by 2027, by 2030, and profits will be coming. So that triggered a recent sell-off. Let's see what Intel is doing next. Amazon is trying to move higher here. We did have an attempt, as you can see here, to move higher on the 9th of May. We had a spike and then we moved lower. On Wednesday, open and close pretty much the same. So it shows a little bit of a weakness here. Thursday, as most of the stocks sold, it sold as well. And Friday, a little bit in green. So let's see what Amazon is doing next. Google is super strong, as you could see here. Both Thursday and Friday, when the market stalled after the recent move, we are moving higher on Google. So Google actually closed at the historical high. We closed at the high of the day, the high of the week, and all-time high. 176.18 was the high, and we closed at 175.90, only 28 cents lower from the day's high. So Google looks like it's the strongest from the group. And that's it with equities. Let's move to currencies. We start as usual with US dollar. And let's take a look what happens here. Of course, Wednesday reaction on the CPI, we stopped right on 200 moving average here. The following day, we bounced higher, and then Friday. So far, we are remaining above 200 moving average. And as of now, we right in the middle between the 50 and the 200 moving average. If we continue lower on dollar index, we might be retesting around 103.80, 104 area. And if we are moving higher, we need to break above the 50 moving average and start building up some strength. Again, a lot of it probably we'll hear from the Feds this week, FOMC minutes. They might be affecting the dollar. We are currently at 104.35, so we could say we between 104 and 105. And as I said, we're between the 200 and the 50 moving average. We'll see how dollar reacts to the FOMC details. And of course, that would bring euro and pound and other currencies higher. If you remember the key levels for euro, it's 108. We are currently trading above that 108. We just on Wednesday, that move was strong. We did break the previous resistance here. And then Thursday, we dived right below. And Friday, after moving lower, it's a flat day. We still have the 50-day moving average below the 200, which some traders pay attention to. Some analysts are calling it the death cross, which is a bearish sign for the instrument. And let's see. So we can actually set up a resistance, or at least immediate resistance here at 108.89. That was the high of Wednesday's reaction to the CPI data. And 108 is the immediate support. Pound, same thing. We've been talking about this channel for a while, between 126 and 128. We're right in between, around 127. We are trading above the first reaction to CPI data, so that's positive for the pound. We have some speeches this week, including the Governor of Bank of England, so definitely we'll see some moves in a British pound. Now, yen, if you remember, we spoke about the intervention of Bank of Japan and possible some actions as far as increasing the interest rates. We were steadily moving higher after the recent sell-off in dollar yen. And the moment we broke the low of the 14th of May, that was a move down. Of course, that was triggered by the CPI. That was the weakness of the dollar, not so much strength of the yen. So the reaction was very strong. We just erased pretty much 5-6 days of slowly, steadily moving higher here. And then the very next day on Thursday, we recover about half of that loss, and Friday we continue higher. So Bank of Japan, again, it's important to focus on it for a minute. They are currently at a 0% interest rate. They increased the interest rate recently, first time in 17 years. And the yen is at the historical weak levels. And there's a lot of pressure on Bank of Japan. There was a press conference. Some are saying that they're not rushing into doing anything as far as interest rate increase. Others think that they should do something about it. They're very famous with their interventions, and sometimes it works, like it did here. A few of them happen, but then recovery goes again into the play. So we'll continue watching yen. It's been a week. Take a look on this CPI data. It shows some strength against some currencies, including the Swiss franc, Canadian dollar, euro, and pound. But then some of them were recovering. And New Zealand dollar is super strong against the yen. So you could see this vertical after the recent correction. We are trading above this top of end of April. So we have an interest rate decision on New Zealand dollar. So definitely I'm going to put this on my list. Watch the New Zealand dollar yen, as it shows as the strongest against the yen, at least on the chart. Okay. Now, South African ZAR. We have exactly 10 days to the elections. So far, it shows the strength. We had a pretty significant sell-off in dollar against the South African rand. We came from above 19 to a little bit above 18, a full point to the downside. Again, things are getting intense everywhere as we're getting close to the elections. Of course, South African elections are very specific. Not going to go into details. We are approaching this bottom of the channel where we had a few attempts to break back in November, 1810 attempt, and then December, the same 1810. And we are very close. We are 1814 currently. And let's see how we react when we get close to that level. Now, speaking of the crosses, we just recently crossed the 50 moving average cross below the 200. That's something the opposite of the golden cross. The analysts call it dead cross when it signals selling. But as you could see here, there's a lot of crosses up and down. So I don't know how valuable that thing is. In any event, 10 days to the almost say inflation, to elections, and we'll see how South African currency is playing into the elections. Swiss franc, as you know, it's the only major central bank that cut the rates recently. They started the process. Everybody else just talking about it, they actually did. So it had a lot of weakness since that decision. And as you could see here on the chart of dollar Swiss, we had the move down, of course, on the CPI data, but on 2 consecutive days, and we are above that 190.60 level, which we marked prior to current levels. And it could be that it might create a move higher here. We are above the 50-day moving average as well. There was a lot of fights around this level here. This is back in 2023. Then again, towards the end of the year, then it was a sell-off, of course, the strength of Swiss franc and the weakness of the dollar. And then we recovered all the way here to that level back in end of March. A lot of accumulation, attempt to go higher. We did have a move higher. Beginning of May was a spike to the upside, 0.9223. Since then, we came lower, and we are kind of holding into this level. And let's see how that plays. Again, we have FOMC minutes this week. See how things are working out. All right, that's it pretty much with currencies. One more thing I just wanted to show you. Let's see if I can find a currency. NZD CAD. It looked very interesting to me as the recent move to the upside, and we are approaching this level from which there was sell-offs multiple times. A lot of accumulation here. Then the sell-off happened beginning of the year. Then we came back, another strongest sell-off continued. Then some recovery. We're coming back to the same level here. So it's very important. Of course, this week there's a decision on interest rate from New Zealand that definitely will be affecting New Zealand dollar. If nothing major is happening, and we might see actually another correction to the downside here, or the opposite scenario, if we break above and start building some solid support, we might continue higher. And of course, if there are any surprise changes on the interest rate decision, we might see the more. I mean, hypothetically, if they cut the rates, logically we should see a sell-off here, and so on. But we're not going to speculate what they do or they won't do. But technically speaking, we are approaching did approach a very strong resistance here. That took a long time, this recovery. So we might see some actions on NZD CAD. Okay, and let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. Where are you? Here we go. Quite a nice move in Bitcoin. This is the CPI data, went up with the market and with gold against the dollar. And take a look, we are kind of glued to this trend line that we established a while ago when we connected these two bottoms. You could see here a lot of actions up and down, and we are sitting or glued right to that trend line. Visually, we didn't see any closings and move above it yet. At the same time, we are above all 3 moving averages here, and we are right at the resistance from which we had a new low or lower low prior to the low here. So as you could see here, the low we had 59,637. After hitting this current level exactly around 67,000, we went lower and we're facing it again. So you could see here, Bitcoin is trading over the weekend. So this is Friday, the high 67,436, Saturday a little bit in red, and today we actually trying to fight that level, current level around 67,000 to the upside. So we'll see what's next in Bitcoin this upcoming week. Okay, so just to put things together, We did have CPI data that moved the market higher on Wednesday. Then we had a little bit of correction on Thursday and Friday. We have FOMC minutes, which is another key component in traders making their decision based on the Fed's mood. Let's put it that way. We have interest rate decision from New Zealand. We have some bankers speaking. We have some CPI and PPI data from different countries. So it's going to be an interesting week. And definitely, technically speaking, after hitting pretty much across the board the all-time highs, this is a crucial place where we will see whether we're moving high here or we're going into a little bit of a correction of profit taking or whatever else is happening. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channels, Telegram, X, and YouTube channel. If you are watching on YouTube, put likes, write your comments, share, and have a wonderful weekend, whatever is left, and prepare yourself for a lot of actions this upcoming week. All the best. Take care.